The headset sealed around Michael's head, and at once silence fractured into a scream that came from nowhere. Michael whispered, "That wasn't in the game," as his avatar body flickered with static. A string of words bled across his vision. Jagged and red, "You were never meant to be here." His hands trembled, pixelated skin glitching into wires. Sarah's voice, soft and fragile, cut in through his earpiece. "Michael, are you there? Why is the system stuttering?" Michael's avatar convulsed as if someone tore chunks of light from his chest. He gasped, "I can't log out. It won't let me." The lobby around him twisted, its walls folding into themselves like broken glass. A door that wasn't supposed to exist slid open ahead. Beyond it, shadows stretched with faces pressed against invisible glass. A boy's laughter echoed, though no boy was there. Michael muttered, "This is wrong. None of this is coded." The floor beneath his feet pulsed like a living heartbeat. From above, distorted text rained downward: "Second life, second death." Sarah screamed his name again, her voice warping into metallic distortion. Michael stumbled forward, whispering to himself, "If this is the beginning, then what's waiting deeper inside?" Michael pulled the headset free, gasping in his darkened apartment, sweat dripping down his neck. The room was silent, except for the faint hum of his old fan. He muttered, "That wasn't just a game crash." He staggered to the window, staring at the city bathed in sleepless neon. His phone buzzed with Sarah's frantic messages, each repeating the same words, "Did you see it too?" His reflection in the glass glitched for a moment, a pixelated mask overlaying his real face. Michael whispered, "I thought this was my escape. Why does it feel like a trap?" Sarah called him, her voice shaky but urgent. "Michael, it wasn't just you. I saw the same thing," he replied. "Then the system's infected, or maybe us." His screen lit with corrupted notifications, impossible timestamps, all pointing back to his last login. Michael stared at the messages until his vision blurred, whispering, "This world isn't supposed to bleed into ours." Sarah's silence on the line weighed heavy, then she muttered, "What if it already has?" Michael returned to the metaverse despite the dread clawing at him. "If I don't face it, I'll never know," he whispered. The lobby reformed, but it was fractured, digital cracks running across walls. Sarah's avatar appeared beside him, trembling. "It feels wrong to even stand here." Michael clenched his fists, eyes darting to the sealed white door, still waiting. He muttered, "It's not a bug, it's a warning." The floor rippled again, and a whisper slid across the air, not Sarah's voice but something older. Michael froze, hearing it say his name. Sarah gripped his arm, trembling. "Michael. It knows you." The walls bled faint red light as shadow figures gathered behind the glass. Michael said through clenched teeth, "Then I'll find out what it wants." He stepped toward the door as the heartbeat floor quickened beneath him. Michael stood inside the metaverse again. The glitches quieter but not gone. The world reconstructed into a false paradise. He whispered, "It looks perfect, but I can feel the cracks under the skin." Sarah appeared beside him, her silver armor glinting in the neon light, her voice tight. "This place hides its scars well." The lobby melted into a vast city of floating towers and endless skies, a spectacle designed to dazzle. Michael clenched his fists, muttering, "All this beauty is a cage." Sarah gave a faint smile and said, "Then we break it open." His avatar's reflection shimmered across the glass walls of the towers. But the image twitched, replaced briefly by a fractured version of himself. They moved deeper into the city, the ground pulsing faintly beneath them. Michael muttered, "Even the streets breathe here." Sarah glanced at him nervously. "Maybe it's alive." Their steps echoed like whispers through empty boulevards. Holographic billboards flickered to life, showing distorted faces smiling with glitchy cheer. Michael stopped, his voice low. "They're watching us." Sarah reached for his hand, whispering, "Then don't let go." Her grip steadied him, but her eyes betrayed fear she refused to voice. A soft laugh drifted through the city, high and childlike. Michael froze, whispering, "That's not coded here." From the shadows, a smaller avatar emerged. Ethan, young and curious, wide eyes glowing with wonder. He looked at them and said, "Isn't this place amazing?" Sarah gasped, whispering, "He shouldn't be here." Michael stepped forward carefully. "Ethan, this world isn't safe." The boy tilted his head, smiling innocently. "Safe? It feels more real than anything." His reflection in the neon glass behind him shimmered wrong, distorted like broken code. Michael knelt, his voice urgent but gentle. "Ethan, you need to log out before this place eats you alive." Ethan laughed softly, shaking his head. "Why would I leave? Here I'm not invisible. Here I matter." Sarah's expression hardened, whispering, "Michael, he's already caught." The billboards flickered again, this time showing Ethan's face multiplied and smiling, an echo of his words repeating, "Here I matter, here I matter." Michael clenched his jaw, whispering, "Then we drag him out before he's gone." The air shifted, and the streets fell silent. A tall figure materialized at the end of the boulevard, cloaked in obsidian armor laced with crimson light. Michael's voice hardened. "He's here." Sarah clutched Ethan's arm, pulling him closer. The figure's voice cut through the silence, cold and cruel. "You should not meddle with what belongs to me." Michael stood tall, fire burning in his eyes, whispering, "Then you'll have to break me first." The Metaverse city dimmed as if bowing to the dark presence. The boulevard trembled under the weight of silence as the cloaked figure stepped forward. Michael whispered, "He's not just another player." Sarah's grip on Ethan tightened, her voice shaking. "That thing feels older than the code itself." The shadows behind the figure pulsed like living veins of darkness, reaching outward. Michael clenched his fists, glaring, "You think you own this world, but you don't own us." The figure's laugh rolled out metallic and low. "You confuse freedom with chains. And soon you will wear mine." Ethan whispered, terrified, "He's watching me." Michael stepped in front of the boy, fire in his tone, "I'll have to go through me first." The ground split beneath their feet, jagged code rising like glass shards. Michael staggered but held his stance. Sarah cried, "He's bending the system itself." The antagonist raised his hand, crimson energy spiraling skyward, and the billboards shattered into sparks. Michael shouted, "You're nothing without fear, and I won't give you mine." The figure's eyes flared red, his voice twisting, "Then I'll take what you protect." Ethan clutched Sarah's arm, his small voice trembling, "Don't let him take me." Michael lifted his blade of light, glowing with unstable code, whispering, "He won't touch you." The antagonist unleashed a surge of crimson energy, striking Michael head-on. Michael's avatar glitched violently, his body scattering into fragments before pulling back together with a scream. Sarah shouted, "Michael!" and tried to run to him, but walls of red code erupted between them. Ethan cried, "He's breaking apart." Michael staggered, sparks hissing from his armor, his voice hoarse. "I want break." The antagonist sneered, "You already are." Michael's reflection in the broken glass showed a twisted, fractured version of himself staring back. Michael collapsed to one knee, his breath ragged. Sarah's voice cut through the static, "You're not alone. We're with you." Her words steadied him as he rose again, sparks trailing from his armor. Ethan whispered, "He's still standing." The antagonist tilted his head, voice laced with mockery. "Resilience is just another word for slow failure." Michael growled, "Then watch me fail again and again until I tear you down." Crimson light flared, the boulevard warping around them, but Michael's eyes burned brighter than the storm. The antagonist stepped back, his grin sharp. "Enough. Let them see you humiliated." With a wave of his hand, the city itself shifted, summoning a crowd of avatars, spectators with blank eyes, their faces frozen in silent judgment. Michael's heart pounded as laughter rippled from nowhere. Sarah whispered, "He's turning this into a stage." Ethan clung to her arm, tears shimmering. Michael raised his blade once more, voice raw with fury. "If it's a show he wants, then I'll burn the curtain down." The crowd's empty eyes glowed, waiting for the spectacle of his downfall. The arena pulsed with crimson light as Michael stood before the crowd of blank-eyed avatars. Their empty gazes cut deeper than blades, each one echoing his past humiliations. He whispered, "This is his stage, not mine." Sarah shouted from behind him, "You don't owe them anything." Ethan clung to her arm, eyes wide with terror. The antagonist raised his hand, his voice booming, "Let them see you broken." With a flick, Michael's avatar glitched violently, sparks bursting from his armor as the crowd laughed in unison. Michael staggered, his voice shaking, "I won't give you what you want." The laughter grew louder, suffocating, crushing his spirit. Michael's blade slipped from his hand, dissolving into static. The antagonist smirked, "Even your weapon knows you're unworthy." Sarah tried to run toward him, but walls of crimson light cut her off. She screamed, "Michael, fight!" Ethan's voice trembled, "Don't let him win." Michael fell to his knees, his reflection on the arena floor, showing a shattered version of himself. The antagonist's voice struck like venom, "Your strength was always borrowed. Without me you are nothing." Michael's fists slammed into the ground, his voice raw. "If I'm nothing, it's because you made me believe it." The antagonist stepped closer, voice dripping with cruelty. "Do you know why you suffer? Because betrayal is always born closest to home." Michael froze as another figure stepped forward from the crowd, Daniel, his teammate and friend. Michael's chest tightened, whispering, "Daniel, why?" Daniel's smile was cold. "You had everything. I had nothing. So I took back what was mine." Sarah gasped, "It was you all along." Ethan's voice cracked, "He betrayed us." Michael's heart splintered as Daniel lifted his hand, channeling energy that shimmered with crimson fire. Michael's voice cracked, "You were my brother in everything but blood." Daniel sneered, "And you never saw me. Always the hero, always the favorite. But not anymore." His attack lashed out, striking Michael across the chest, sending him crashing backward. Sarah screamed, "Stop this!" Ethan cried, "He's hurting him." The antagonist watched with amusement, his voice echoing, "Betrayal is the purest form of power." Michael lay gasping, sparks dancing across his fractured armor, whispering, "If this is betrayal, then I'll turn it into strength." Michael staggered to his feet, fury burning through his pain. Daniel laughed, "You still think you can fight me?" Michael's voice cut through the arena, "I don't need to beat you. I need to survive you." Sarah's eyes glistened with determination, whispering, "We'll survive this together." Ethan clutched her tightly, whispering, "Please don't let him fall." The antagonist's grin widened. "Let the duel consume him." Michael lifted his fists, his reflection shifting into a darker, shadowed version of himself, whispering in his ear, "You are me. You cannot escape." Michael snarled, "Then I'll face you even if it kills me." Michael's chest heaved, his broken armor sparking as Daniel circled him like a predator. Sarah cried out, "Don't listen to him, Michael." Ethan clung to her, whispering, "He's not the same person anymore." Daniel's voice sliced through the air, "I was always here, waiting for you to stumble. You made me invisible, so I became stronger in the shadows." Michael's voice cracked, "You were my brother." Daniel smirked coldly, "And you were my curse." Crimson light flared as Daniel raised his blade, and Michael's reflection warped into something monstrous, whispering, "You are no different from him." The antagonist watched with delight, his voice echoing, "Blood of trust is the sweetest fuel." Michael lunged at Daniel, their blades clashing in a storm of sparks. Daniel laughed. "Finally, you fight me as I always deserved." Sarah shouted, "Stop! This isn't you!" Ethan cried, "Please don't!" But the sound of steel and code colliding drowned out their voices. Michael's rage boiled as Daniel pressed harder, taunting, "You're weak because you still care." Michael growled, "And that's the only reason I'll survive this." Their faces locked inches apart, fire burning in both their eyes. The floor beneath them fractured, splitting open into an abyss of writhing code. Daniel knocked Michael down, his blade hovering at his throat. "You'll never escape me," he hissed. Sarah screamed. "Michael!" Ethan cried. "Get up!" Michael stared into Daniel's eyes and whispered, "This isn't about you anymore." Suddenly, a shadowed figure emerged from the abyss, Michael's hidden double, his reflection brought to life. The shadow's voice was cold. "You fight him, but you're really fighting me." Michael gasped. "No, you're not real." The double smirked. "I'm the part of you that wants this." The shadow stepped fully into the arena, its voice cutting through Michael's mind. "You wanted power. You wanted to matter. That's why you came here." Michael trembled, whispering, "I came to escape." The shadow laughed. "Escape is just another word for surrender." Daniel grinned, stepping aside. Now he faces himself. Sarah shouted, "Michael, don't let it consume you." Ethan cried, "Please, fight it." The antagonist spread his arms, voice thunderous. "Now the world will see truth. Your soul is the infection." Michael rose slowly, glaring at his mirror, whispering, "Then I'll burn you out." Michael and his shadow clashed, their movements perfectly mirrored, every strike echoing his own fury. Sparks of neon and darkness lit the arena like lightning. Sarah shouted, "You are not him!" Ethan cried, "You're better than this." Michael's voice roared as he struck back, "I am not you, I am more." The shadow hissed, "You can't kill what you are." The antagonist's laughter thundered, "Yes, let him drown in himself." Michael pushed forward, every blow a rejection of the monster within, his voice breaking. "If I fall, it will be on my own terms." The arena shook with their collision, code raining down like fire. Michael's fists clashed against his shadow's blade, sparks tearing through the arena. His voice roared, "I am not you." The shadow sneered, "You've always been me." Sarah cried out, "Michael, don't let it consume you." Ethan sobbed, "Please win, please." The antagonist's laughter shook the air, "Fight yourself and you'll drown." Michael forced his reflection backward, rage and fear colliding. He gasped, "If I am my worst enemy, then I'll burn myself clean." The arena shook violently, crimson cracks splitting the walls as reality itself trembled beneath their battle. Daniel lunged into the chaos, his crimson blade cutting through the storm. "Both of you disgust me," he spat, slashing at Michael and his shadow. Michael staggered but countered, sparks spilling like fire. The shadow hissed, "He only mirrors your hate." Sarah shouted, "Michael, focus!" Ethan screamed, "Don't fall!" The antagonist spread his arms, whispering with glee, "Let them devour one another." Michael's voice thundered, "No, I'll break both of you before I break myself." He drove forward, sparks erupting in a desperate blaze of defiance. Michael was surrounded, Daniel on one side, his shadow on the other. Every strike tore deeper into his armor, but he refused to fall. He shouted, "If pain is all I have left, I'll make it my weapon." ... Sarah's voice trembled, "You're stronger than them." Ethan pleaded, "Don't give up." Daniel snarled, "He's already broken." The shadow's voice slithered, "He belongs to us." Michael bellowed, "I belong to no one." His blade burst into a violent surge of neon light, scattering code like burning embers across the arena. The antagonist roared, "Enough!" and slammed his hand to the ground. The arena collapsed, twisting into a void of crimson storms and black lightning. Avatars from the crowd dissolved like ash. Michael gritted his teeth, shouting, "This ends with me!" Sarah cried, "Michael, don't lose yourself." Ethan's tiny voice whispered, "Please come back to us." Daniel sneered, "You'll die here." The shadow laughed, "And I'll live forever in you." Michael planted his feet, eyes blazing, and growled, "Not anymore." He raised his blade high, light cracking through the storm like dawn. Michael charged with everything left in him, his blade meeting Shadow and Daniel in one devastating strike. Sparks erupted like wildfire, tearing across the arena. He screamed, "I am more than your chains." Daniel howled as his blade shattered, the shadow shrieking as its foam cracked apart. Sarah cried, "Michael!" Ethan whispered, "He's winning." The antagonist snarled, "No, this was my world." Michael roared, "Then I'll tear it down with me if I have to." The battlefield erupted in fire and light, drowning the metaverse in chaos as their fates collided. The storm collapsed into silence, the arena nothing but drifting ruins of crimson code scattered in endless black. Michael stood at the center, his body trembling, armor shattered beyond repair, neon sparks spilling from the cracks like dying embers. His breathing was ragged, but his eyes still glowed faintly with unbroken resolve. Sarah's hand covered her mouth as tears welled, her voice a whisper. "He's alive." Ethan clung to her side, his small voice breaking through the silence. "He won." I knew he would win, but victory felt hollow. Daniel lay collapsed among the ruins, his avatar's face twisted in defeat, his form dissolving into static, fading into nothingness. The shadow double, Michael's twisted reflection, screamed without sound, its body scattering into fragments of ash and vanishing into the void. Michael whispered with exhausted finality, "It's over." Yet the antagonist's dark silhouette loomed from the horizon, obsidian armor cracked, but still glowing crimson. His voice was venom given life. "You think victory means survival? All you've done is trade one death for another." Michael staggered, shoulders heavy, but he lifted his head with defiance, whispering, "If I fall free, and freedom is worth the cost." The antagonist emerged fully, his cracked obsidian armor flickering with crimson veins like molten lava bleeding through stone. His voice thundered, "This world breathes because of me. I am its lifeblood. I am its god." His steps fractured the floating platforms beneath him, each one shattering into sparks of fading code. Michael staggered forward, every breath like glass in his chest, yet his voice was steady. "Then I'll take its breath away." Sarah cried out in desperation, her voice breaking, "Michael, don't! You can't fight anymore. Please stop before it kills you." Ethan reached toward him with trembling hands, his wide eyes wet with tears. "Please don't leave us again, not now." Michael turned to them, exhaustion etched into his every movement, but he managed a faint smile that was both apology and promise. "Some chains," he whispered, "can only be broken from inside." The antagonist roared, raising his arm as crimson lightning surged across the void, storms spiraling violently. Michael lifted his broken blade, sparks trailing like falling stars, his voice cutting through the storm. "Then let's finish this." Sarah's tears spilled freely as she whispered, "Come back to us." Ethan buried his face against her armor, whispering, "He has to. He just has to." Michael charged with what remained of his strength, his body blazing with unstable neon light, each step cracking the platform beneath his feet. The antagonist met him in equal fury, his obsidian blade erupting with crimson storms that swallowed the void. Their collision was apocalyptic, neon and crimson colliding in a blast so violent it tore the fragments of the world apart, scattering them into the black abyss. Sarah screamed, her voice shattering into desperation. "Michael!" Ethan clutched her tighter, sobbing into her armor, unable to look at the blinding clash. Michael roared with everything in his soul, "You don't own me, not here, not ever." The antagonist snarled, his voice layered with thunder, "You will die with me. You will always be mine." Sparks of light and fire burst outward, burning like falling stars. Michael's face twisted with pain, but also determination as he pushed his blade forward, every fiber of him breaking. "Then let it end here," he whispered, his final words of defiance as their clash consumed them both in a storm of fire and silence. The void itself cracked under the force, the weight of their final battle collapsing into a blinding explosion that erased sound, sight, and hope all at once. The blinding storm slowly receded, silence spreading like a wound across the broken void. Floating shards of ruined platforms drifted through the black, glowing faintly like dying embers. Sarah and Ethan stood together on one fragile piece, their bodies trembling from the aftershock. Sarah's eyes scanned desperately, her voice raw and breaking. "Michael, please, answer me." Ethan whispered like a prayer, "Come back. Don't leave us." For a long moment, nothing answered but the hollow hum of dying code. Then, through the drifting ash, a faint glow emerged. Michael stumbled into view, his broken armor barely holding together, each step uncertain, sparks trailing from his body like fireflies fading into night. Sarah's tears spilled as she ran to him, her arms wrapping around his collapsing frame before he hit the ground. "I thought I lost you," she whispered, her voice a mixture of grief and relief. Ethan rushed to their side, his small hands gripping Michael's arm as he cried out, "You're here, you're really here." Michael's eyes softened with exhaustion as he whispered, "I kept my promise." But the void trembled violently, unstable, cracks spreading across every fragment, threatening to collapse everything into oblivion. Sarah looked up in fear, whispering, "The world is breaking apart." Michael closed his eyes with calm resolve. "Then let it collapse. But not before I say goodbye." The void cracked one last time, collapsing inward as silence spread through the dark. Michael stood weakly between Sarah and Ethan, holding their hands with everything left in him. His voice was faint, almost lost to the noise. "If I don't make it back, remember me." Sarah shook her head furiously, tears streaming, her voice fierce even in despair. "No, we won't let go of you. Not now. Not ever." Ethan clung to him, sobbing uncontrollably. "Please, don't leave us, you promised." Michael's body flickered violently, his form tearing away piece by piece, light unraveling into static. He leaned closer, pressing his forehead against Sarah's, whispering, "I never left." His hand slipped from hers as his entire body dissolved, scattering into fragments of neon light that floated upward before vanishing into nothing. Sarah screamed in grief, clutching Ethan to her chest as the void swallowed them in collapsing silence. Then came the final sound, the cold, mechanical voice of the system, echoing with cruel detachment, another one logged out. In the real world, Michael's headset fell with a hollow thud onto the floor of his dark apartment. The faint glow of the screen still pulsed, its light flickering in the silence of the empty room, the last trace of a soul that had given everything to be free.